Welcome to the Quadra Island Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan. This is a video presentation that is a summary of and supplementary to a formal report submitted to the Strathcona Regional District. The full report and maps can be accessed and downloaded from the SRD website. My name is Louis Oreo, and I am a professional forester and associate of B.A. Blackwell & Associates. Established in 1988, Blackwell provides integrated forestry and environmental consulting services to a wide range of clients. The firm has completed over 100 community wildfire protection and resiliency plans since 2005, 10 of which, including this one, were recently completed within the last year. These wildfire resiliency plans provide recommendation and action items categorized by the 7 FireSmart disciplines. Having advised and supported FireSmart education events and materials, and planned and implemented FireSmart assessment projects for a number of clients, we have gained extensive experience and knowledge of the FireSmart principles and their application. Additionally, having assisted with the development of the Provincial Strategic Threat Analysis in 2004, which constitutes the base data for fire risk analysis across BC, the firm has evolved highly efficient and advanced methods for assessing wildfire risk. All of this combines into resiliency plans we feel recognize and address the unique situations and circumstances of each community, from highly urbanized to rural. The purpose of this Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan is to identify and update the wildfire risks specific to Quadra Island's wildland-urban interface, to describe the potential consequences of wildfire to the community, and to examine options and strategies to reduce wildfire risks within. The goals are for this resiliency plan and its associated action plan to be used as a framework to increase the effectiveness of fire suppression and emergency response to Quadra Island, reduce potential impacts and losses to property and critical infrastructure from wildfire, and to reduce the wildfire behavior threats within Quadra Island communities. The wildland-urban interface is the focus of wildfire resiliency plans. It represents the place where the developed community meets the forested wildland. This is sometimes a hard edge, but more often is a blurred one. To determine the focus area for this report, which is known as the eligible wildland-urban interface, a 1 kilometer buffer surrounding a structure density of 6 or more structures per square kilometer is created. This is shown on the map as the area surrounded by a black outline, and includes the communities of Granite Bay, Village Bay Lake, Bold Point, Open Bay, Harriet Bay, Copper Bluffs, Quathiaski Cove, and Cape Mudge. Quadra's wildland-urban interface encompasses private property, private managed forest land, and crown land under various forest licenses, as well as some municipal land. In general, 42% of the eligible wildland-urban interface is crown land, and 55% is private. While the regional district can directly implement recommendations within its district boundaries pertaining to regional district land, regulations, and bylaws, its role is limited to one of an advocate for those recommendations directed outside its sphere of influence. The local wildfire threat assessment process, which determines fire threat by threat classes within the eligible wildland-urban interface, incorporates several key inputs for its analysis. These include updated field types from field assessments, proximity of fuels to the community with a higher weighting given to those fuel types closer to structures and a lower weighting to those fuel types further away, consideration of topography, knowing that fires travel faster and more easily upslope than on flatter terrain, and an analysis of fire spread patterns from data gathered by the most representative BC Wildfire Service fire weather station. For this analysis, the Morel BC Wildfire Service weather station, located 12.8 kilometers east of Granite Bay on Morel Island, was used for inferring wind speeds and direction. During the fire season of April to October, the Morel Fire Station indicates predominant winds originate mostly from the south, becoming south-dominant in July and August, which is peak fire season. Thus, fires south of structures and valleys pose the largest threat on Quadra Island, as the dominant winds will drive them north. Both the Morel Weather Station and the Quinsam BC Wildfire Service Fire Weather Station, located on the west edge of Campbell River, were used for inferring additional data in Quadra's eligible wildland urban interface, such as wildfire danger class days. Morel was used for the North Island and Quinsam for the South. When looking at just the high fire danger days for the peak fire season months of June through September, both weather stations show very similar data. Overall, 1/3 of all days during those months exhibited high fire danger class. It is important to note that grant funding for this project does not allow for assessment on private land, which accounts for 55% of Quadra's eligible wildland-urban interface, which is shown on the map on this slide in gray. The result of the fire threat analysis shows that, for the remaining assessable area, approximately 64% is low or very low threat classes, shown on the map in green. 35% is moderate threat class, shown on the map in yellow, with high and extreme threat classes both constituting less than 1% each, shown on the map as orange and red. Since 1/over half of Quadra's eligible wildland-urban interface is private property, 2, most homes are part of individual isolated neighborhoods, and 3, the most likely ignition source of a wildfire, as determined from historical wildfire ignition source data, is from human activity, a focus on fire-smart education, fire-smart building materials, and vegetation management around homes and critical infrastructure are the most important factors towards structures and homes surviving a wildfire event in Quadra's wildland-urban interface, and also for those homes not being the trigger source for one as well. FireSmart is the comprehensive, nationally accepted set of principles, practices, and programs for reducing losses from wildfire. The overarching goal of FireSmart is to encourage communities and citizens to adopt and conduct practices to mitigate the negative impacts of wildfire on public and private property. Provincial funding programs, such as the Community Resiliency Investment Program, can be leveraged by the district to support Quadra Island in implementing many of the recommendations within this plan. 43 recommendations and action items have been proposed and are addressed wholly in the representative FireSmart sections. The following is a summary of the highest priority ones. Public education and outreach play a critical role in helping a community prepare for and prevent a wildfire. Participating in wildfire risk reduction and resiliency activities also promotes a sense of empowerment and shared responsibility. This discipline often supports the successful implementation of the other FireSmart disciplines by building awareness and understanding within both residents and visitors. It is recommended that the CWRP report and associated maps should be made publicly available by the regional district through its website, as well as Quadra Fire Department's website and on social media. It's also recommended that the regional district continue to promote fire-smart approaches for wildfire risk reduction to homeowners, businesses, and stakeholders through fire-smart workshops and open houses. As more people look to the internet and websites for information, we recommend that the regional district and Quadra Island Fire Department both develop fire-smart and wildfire preparedness pages on their websites. Additionally, there should be added a link to the recently created Campbell River FireSmart Guide to Landscaping. We also recommend that the regional district apply for funding to complete both home ignition zone assessments as well as neighborhood wildfire assessments for homes and neighborhoods within Quadra Island's wildland-urban interface. Legislation and planning regulations are effective tools for reducing wildfire risk due to ease of communication and enforcement. A review and summary of the regional district's bylaws and regulations relevant to wildfire risk and emergency planning is provided in the document. Actions such as reviewing zoning bylaws through a wildfire lens to assess where they inadvertently promote conditions that may contribute to fire spread and determining where bylaws can be updated or strengthened to reduce wildfire risk to development can help accomplish the goal of a more wildfire resilient community. It is recommended the regional district complete updates of this wildfire resiliency plan as required. Triggers for this would include a major change to the forested landscape, development expansion, or funding program requirements. Additionally, current wildfire resiliency funding is dependent upon having an up-to-date wildfire resiliency plan, which is considered one that was completed within 5 years. It is also recommended that the regional district explore ways to extend or apply fire bans and other associated wildfire risk bans enacted in the South Quadra Fire Improvement District to areas outside it in North Quadra. Additionally, the Quadra Island Official Community Plan speaks to developing a Quadra Island Parks Plan. When this plan is developed, or any future land management plans, legislation are developed or amended, ensure that FireSmart principles are adopted into them. Embedding FireSmart practices and considerations into development should be a leading priority of the regional district. Much like regulations, it is important that official community plans adopt language and framework through a wildfire lens so that future land use and development are guided with wildfire risk reduction and preparedness in mind, especially to those areas within the wildland-urban interface. Therefore, a review with this in mind of the Quadra Island Official Community Plan is recommended. One of the most powerful tools the regional district can employ is the development of a wildfire hazard development permit area for the protection of developments from hazardous wildfire conditions. The DPA should focus on FireSmart principles relating to structured materials as well as landscaping. Additionally, protection of functional critical infrastructure during a wildfire event is an important consideration for emergency response effectiveness, ensuring that coordinated evacuation can occur if necessary and that essential services can be maintained or restored quickly in the case of an emergency. The regional district should engage a qualified professional to conduct formal FireSmart assessments of critical infrastructure and plan to complete the proposed recommendations. Identifying and linking stakeholders such as government, private landowners, park and recreation staff, forest land managers, and emergency services can reduce wildfire risk, increase funding opportunities, and allow the Strathcona Regional District to obtain valuable local knowledge. The regional district should continue having relevant staff attend the annual FireSmart BC conference, hosted by the BC FireSmart Committee. The regional district should also engage with public and private forest land managers whose industrial forest areas overlap with Quadra's wildland-urban interface, to ensure that wildfire risk reduction measures are part of their planning and actions. Specifically, the limiting of slash buildup from logging activities is a key risk reduction measure. Additionally, a Community FireSmart Resiliency Committee is proposed within this plan. This committee reflects the key planners and responders most involved in local FireSmart, wildfire resiliency planning, and wildfire and emergency response specific to Quadra Island. The regional district should engage with the Community FireSmart Resiliency Committee on a regular basis to share important information and potential avenues for collaboration on wildfire risk reduction measures. All government staff who are expected to participate in the development and implementation of this plan or participate in wildfire response and recovery on Quadra Island should be appropriately trained. This includes both regional district staff and members of the Quadra Island Fire Department. Cross-training includes testing of emergency plans. As such, regular testing of and updates to Quadra Island's evacuation plan should be done. Additionally, a yearly pre-fire season is best wildfire emergency simulation exercise should be completed. Other cross-training includes FireSmart specific courses. One example is local FireSmart training, which can be done by anyone, but is most recommended for regional district and Quadra Fire Department staff. This course provides knowledge and resources they can then use to engage with others in their community on FireSmart initiatives and planned community FireSmart events. Members of Quadra Fire Department should, at a minimum, have their SPP WFF1 wildfire fighting certification, and it is recommended that some members attain FireSmart Home Partners Mitigation Specialist training, allowing them to conduct more rigorous FireSmart assessments of homes and critical infrastructure within the community. When several wildfire emergencies are taking place throughout the province, BC Wildfire Service resource availability may become scarce. Therefore, government wildfire preparedness and resource availability are critical components of community wildfire resilience. Individuals and agencies need to be ready to act. Quadra Fire Department should continue engaging with BC Wildfire Service to conduct annual reviews, ensuring personal protective equipment and wildland equipment resources are complete, in working order, and that crews are well versed in their setup and use. Many of the small communities outside of the South Quadra Fire Improvement District have self-organized wildfire fighting capabilities to varying levels. The regional district should look for opportunities to facilitate equipment review and training with BC Wildfire Service, as well as explore additional funding opportunities for recommended equipment. Additionally, the regional district should include evacuation harbors and wharfs, as well as tactical staging areas identified in Quadra's updated emergency response documents as critical infrastructure, so that they qualify for FireSmart assessments. Fuel, which is available vegetation for a wildfire to burn, is one of the key aspects of the fire environment that can be modified to reduce wildfire threat. Vegetation management reduces potential wildfire intensity and ember exposure to people, structures, and other values through the manipulation of both natural and cultivated vegetation within or adjacent to a community. This can largely be accomplished through two different activities. The first is residential scale FireSmart landscaping. Residential FireSmart vegetation management refers to the removal, reduction, or conversion of flammable landscaping plants to create more fire-resistant areas surrounding homes and infrastructure. This is known as the Home or Critical Infrastructure Ignition Zone, as shown in the image on this slide. Specific vegetation management requirements are detailed for each zone. The Regional District has had success implementing a community neighborhood chipping program for residents on Quadra to safely and at no cost dispose of hazardous vegetation and fuel from their properties. This program should be continued on a yearly basis. The second vegetation management activity is fuel management treatments. Fuel management refers to the manipulation or reduction of living or dead wildland forest fuels to reduce the rate of spread and intensity of a fire, as well as enhance the likelihood of successful fire suppression. These treatment units are focused on the surrounding landscape of communities. 6 treatment units have been proposed within Quadra Island's eligible wildland-urban interface. It is recommended that the Regional District proceed with detailed assessment, prescription development, and treatment of the identified treatment units according to their prioritization within the document. In summary, 35% of Quadra Island's accessible eligible wildland-urban interface has a moderate wildfire behavior threat or higher. This, along with other analyses presented and discussed throughout the Wildfire Resiliency Plan, shows that wildfire is a threat to Quadra Island and its interface. The Wildfire Resiliency Plan sets the stage for implementing important, relevant actions to increase awareness of wildfire risk and to increase Quadra Island's wildfire preparedness and resiliency. Overall, a focus on FireSmart education, FireSmart building materials, and FireSmart home and critical infrastructure ignition zone vegetation management are the most important factors recommended towards structures and homes surviving a wildfire event in Quadra's wildland-urban interface. Thank you.